So this is the last hurrah. I will be posting other things online after this, but this is the last thing I'm going to talk about this semester, and I hope that it is a good one. I just wanted to show you the following. So I created some new tables. Yes, it took me hours, but I wanted to create them that way I could have something to show people by illustration on how joins work. There's something called Northwind Database, and I normally would attempt to use it to show how joins work. It's pretty much the gold standard, but I find that it's way too large, way too, how can I put it, expansive to try to show students quite clearly what's going on when we use joins. Now, unfortunately, in H2 we don't have full joins, but we don't have them in MySQL either. And I know that I focused on both of those together. I am bummed about it. I'm sure there is a way to actually combine the two together, namely using left and right joins where things are or are not null. Another way of doing that would be to use to use a left and a right join minus the inner join component. All right, so you're going to use like the inclusion exclusion theory. Remember, set theory. There you go. So now here's what we have. I started with a basic table called contact info. Now some people have home phone numbers, some people have cell phone numbers, some people have work numbers, and all three. All right, there are cases of all three. However, as home phone numbers, so as landlines become a little less common, you might have a cell number instead of a home phone number. As work phones are a bit less common, you might have a cell number instead of a work number. You might have 2 out of 3, or you might just have 1. All right. So let's just take a look at some of this together. I guess I did leave out the case in which there was a few people with only one, namely the cell phone number, and both the home phone and the work phone were null. But we'll work past that. It's not a big deal. So now that you've seen this, I have an 11-row table. I use this by borrowing from math majors, right? I selected another table. This is work contact. This is for all the ones where work phone is not null. And this is home contact, where all the home phone numbers are not null. So let's take a look at how joins work again. Well, previously we talked about cross, natural, and inner. Now we're going to talk about left and right. So left and right work as follows. I can select from a table, home contact. I'm going to use the table alias H. The alias is arbitrary. I could call it A, B, doesn't matter. And then I have left join, work contact, W. If you don't like letters, you could also use like abbreviations like home and work. You know, those would work too. But then you'd be calling things home.name and then work.name. So to each his own. This is using the using clause, all right? So with the using clause, we know that this particular name is consistent with the 2 tables above, and we're not so concerned about breaking them apart, like is it A home phone or B home phone. So that's a plus. If I hit this guy up here, now you see how this join works, all right? So now the backbone of this whole join was using the home phone, so that's going to be the most prominent column in this table, all right? And then we're going to have some output based off of where we got our left table as a prefix, all right? So with the left join, we're going to favor the leftmost table. So here, home contact, all this stuff right here is from home contact. That stuff comes first, all right? That's the way it goes. As you can see, there are some null work phone numbers, all right? But the home phone numbers were all there. Now, moving over, as you can see, I now have like things like it says null going all across, and then finally we have something here where there were people who were not null. You might be wondering what was going on here. So we're matching these guys on the left that exist in our table with those on the right, all right? So now when we match them with the ones on the right, the ones that are all nulls that are not common to both tables, they're not going to show up around here, all right? The ones that are common to both tables will show up, okay? So now we know that we have three tables, or I'm sorry, three rows that exist in our original table, but there were four nulls, all right? Four null rows that were only in home contact but not work contact. So that's how that goes, all right? Now, if it were a right join, then we would be giving the rightmost set the more prominent prefix in this particular layout, okay? Let's take a look at what happens when we use a left join, but it's going to be based off of whether or not the cell phones are null. So this is another one. We're going to get 49 rows, but let's see why. Okay, scrolling all the way down, 49 rows, no problem. Now, what we're going to have here is the following. As you can see, there's a lot of repetition. And what they did here was they took the home contact, all right, they joined it with the work contact. This is leftmost dominant. And once we take a look at H cell phone not being null and work cell phone is not null, all right, what we have here is the case in which the home phone numbers, the home cells, all of these different occupants for the home contact and work contact are being combined together, kind of like the Cartesian product. So basically what SQL does is it does like a cross join, and then it picks out certain subsets based on what we want to eliminate. Now, if you take a look at what we have here, some of the other parts of the table seem very redundant. So you see Reed Richards we have 7 of those, right? However, each of these for the rightmost table, they repeat but not back to back. So you have each of the leftmost entries are the ones that are being clustered together and pairwise combined with the rightmost entry, all right? So you could even say that it's like a case of A7 times 7. So the A table of 7, or you know, the seven leftmost entries being piecewise combined with other 7 rows. Now, moving further down, here's another join. And in this case, we're going to get 4 rows. Let's just take a look at why. So this is a right join. It's going to be very heavy with the prefix being on the right side. So the rightmost set is going to be the predominant one with the emphasis on it. I click that. I have 4 rows. Let's see why. So I said that I'm going to concentrate on entries that are in the right table combined with those that are in the home contact using the cell phone parameter, which is common to both of them. But I also want to make sure that home phone is not null, right? So I'm going to look into my work contacts, all right? That's the one that gets read first. And in my work contacts, I'm checking to see that home phone is null. So let's take a look. Here we have the cell phone starting from the work side. These 4 guys are null. But now when I look at the right work contact part, the work phones are all there, all right? So I got rid of my leftmost entries in which the other entries were null, and the ones that came up, the ones that we concentrated on making sure they were included into the table, were the rightmost, all right? So here's how it works. If we have a left join, we are going to emphasize the entries within the resultant table based off of what we find in the left table, all right? If it's a right join, we're going to take entries from the right side table and make this specification here apply to the right table. And then with that we take the specification, we look at how many of those specifications are true within our right table, and that becomes the basis for the entries that are in our resultant query table or our data set. All right, so all of these things that were null in the left table, they clearly are there simply because we made sure that they would be there. All right, basically the nulls are there for a reason. We don't care about them. What we care about most is this part right here. Now there is a way to kind of abbreviate this thing. Suppose I only want to pull from just one of them. All right, I'm going to do the following really quickly. I'm going to say select from star. All right, this part right here. When selected, here we go. Now I got 3 of these items. All right, and here's what it was. Basically, I checked to see that both of these cell phone parts were equal, but I also checked to see where b.workphone is not null. So all of these are cases in which I had people who were having all 3 numbers not null. All right, and if you take a look at what I combined in this case, this was contact info, my original table, and this was left joined with home contact, which was one of my offshoot tables. Home and work contact were my offshoot tables with 7 rows each. Now, I matched up the cell phone part, but I also want to make sure that b.workphone is not null. That's important. Remember that we had 7 rows from b.workphone, right? Or I'm sorry, we had 7 rows from home contact and work contact. So there were 4 of them that were null in that particular. There were 4 entries, I should say, that were null in that particular table, the second one. There were 4 null in home contact and 4 null in work contact. Now, suppose I come here and I say the following. I want to select star from contact info A, left join home contact B on cell phones being the same, where B work phone is null. That's going to be the difference. This time it is null. So now I'm going to run this part when selected. Okay, so I got 8 rows here. My contact info and my home contact. Home contact had 7 different rows. Contact info had 10. All right. The cell phones had to be the same. All right. But I looked for the cases in which b.workphone was null. Now b.workphone had 4 null rows. All right. Let's just take a look at what we have. So these are my leftmost items. And on my right hand side, I have home contact. And the preference was given to cases in which b.workphone is null in home contact. So in home contact, let's just take a look. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 cases. Those 4 cases were there. All right. And we also have 1, 2, 3, and 4 cases that were not null. All right. So those 4 null cases did show up. However, you're probably wondering, well, where did we get this all from? We got it all from our 2 tables, selecting everything from them. Now, here's what happened. This part is coming from contact info. Now, contact info was the combined table from which work info and home info, or work contact and home contact, came from. All right. Now, there is one thing that I can do if I want to make sure that I don't have to see all those nulls on the other side. I'm going to do the following. I'm going to use my wildcard, but I'm going to prefix it as follows: a.star. Let's take a look at what happens. Pretty clean. So now you don't have so much redundancy going on row-wise. If I did b.star, gonna have a bunch of nulls, and then the few leftovers that were also common to the other table. All right. So now that I'm done with that, just gonna copy this out. All right. I'm gonna put it in a text file. And I'm just going to save it. I'm going to call it join work. All right. Save that. Now, I know that a lot of people didn't get a chance to get my script, so I'm going to say the following. I'm going to script to file. It's been a while since I've done that. Well, let me just check. What I should make sure you guys all know is that the scripting part is not common to all databasing systems. This is just H2's way of going. All right, so I'm going to just script it to, I guess I'll call it, let's see, join sample. .sql. And let's see, I'm going to say the character set. It's partially UTF-8. All right. And I think I'll put in the exact tables that I want in there. Okay, so for the tables, I'm going to use, let's see, contact info, home contact, and work contact. All right. And with that, now I'm going to leave everything with you guys. So I'm going to run that script, and then I will give you the modified file. I'm going to take out all that craziness about the user and the, let's see, the schema and all that other stuff. All right. Thanks for joining me, and you can feel free to ask questions anytime. This has been awesome. Take care. Goodbye.